All right, we just got home from a great church service. Still got my church clothes on, as you can tell. But that leads me into this conversation. There's three things that are rooted deep into the culture of the state of Texas. It's God, family, and football. Okay, those three things. Whether you believe it, agree with it, whatever, that is a fact. God, family, and football. It's rooted into the culture, and even though times keep changing, that stays true. All right. And that brings me into the conversation of what is the hierarchy of Texas college football? Who are the best programs in college football right now, moving forward, in the past, whatever it may be, but who are the best programs right now? Okay. And there's some programs they started to turn around, some programs have taken a turn for the worse. But I feel like this conversation right now today holds true to three teams who have an argument. All right. You have the Texas Longhorns, you have the Texas A&M Aggies, and you have the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Now, you may not agree with how I rank these teams and their programs moving forward, but two of those teams were playoff teams last year. All right, they had 11-1 regular seasons. They got the playoffs and they just got stomped out. Right, Texas Tech could not have any offense versus Oregon, and Texas A&M scored 3 points at home against Miami. And that's just a fact of the matter. But even right now, after they went to the playoffs, after 11-1 regular seasons, and even if I don't like saying it, it's the truth, the Texas Longhorns are the big brother. Coming off a 9-3 season, they are still the best football program in the state of Texas. All right? And the last 3 years have recertified that, so to say, because the Strong and Herman eras, they kind of tore that apart. Okay, Texas was not what you expect Texas to be. And then Steve Sarkisian came along and built a program, and now, I mean, for the foreseeable future, year in and year out, they're going to be in the national championship conversation, especially this upcoming year with Arch, Cam Coleman, and all these playmakers that they either already had or brought in or bringing back. Okay, they are set up for true success. They are a national championship contender once again. They started the season as a preseason number one. And did they go 9-3? Yeah. But that doesn't change the fact that they are the best program in the state of Texas. I can't deny it. And honestly, I feel like that is a consensus among the state for the most part, because it's true. If A&M could have beat them at least last year, maybe this conversation is a little different, but Texas is 2-0 against them since they restarted the rivalry. So, listen, Texas has the athletic facilities. They have the NIL funding. They have the recruiting. They have the atmosphere. I mean, it is everything you need in college football to truly. Oh, sorry, tacos are feeling it. They have everything you need to have true success in the state of Texas and true success in college football, and they're having it. All right? I mean, they are one of the most talked about teams when it comes to the national championship in 2026, and they are for a reason. So, with all that being said, I think there is a strong consensus that they are the number one team. We'll dive back into that here in a minute. But the real argument I seen coming up on a couple of my comments was, who is the number two team? Okay. Keep in mind, these are two playoff teams. The number one team wasn't a playoff team, but the second, third team, they were playoff teams, right? And it's a matter of which one's second. And it has to be Texas A&M. Right now, today, they are the second best. Could in the future Texas Tech jump them? Possibly, but right now, no. They're not ahead. Texas A&M plays in the SEC. Texas A&M has the athletic facility. Texas A&M has all the potential in the world to be just as good, if not better, than Texas year in and year out. It's just a fact of the matter that they do. It's just a matter of, can they do it? Okay? Or will they do it? So to say, they can do it. It's just, will they? Okay? And they haven't yet. Did they take ultimate strides in the program in just 2 years under Mike Elko? Absolutely. All right. They have taken humongous strides. But they're still the little brother of Texas. And it's just a fact of the matter. It's just the truth. They are the little brother of Texas. And that doesn't mean that they won't ever be better. Okay? I mean, hell, my little brother, he's almost as tall as me right now. He's in 6th grade, by the way. He's going to end up being faster. He's going to end up probably being stronger. And overall, probably a better athlete than me. I'm the big brother. That don't mean I'll always be better at this time of period. Yeah, I could kick his little butt. But that doesn't mean I'm always going to be better. So that doesn't mean Texas will always be better. If Texas A&M would have beat Texas this past year in Austin, this conversation goes totally different. I think we'd all agree, for the most part, A&M has the best program right now in the state. Regardless of how the transfer portal turned it, regardless of all that, we would probably agree on that. But they did it. That's just a fact that they didn't. Texas A&M is known as Texas 8-4 for a reason, because they haven't. And I think it's changing under Elko. But even these 2 years under Elko, they stumbled down the stretch. They went 1-4 down the stretch in year one, and then they lost the 2 biggest games of the year last season. But they have everything just like Texas: the facilities, the stadium, atmosphere, recruiting. They have it all. But they haven't got it done yet. Okay? They made a big stride. Now you just got to keep building on it. But I still think they are ahead of schedule more than Texas Tech. Texas Tech just now got to the party. If we would have had this conversation before the season last year, Texas Tech wouldn't be in the conversation. I'm not sure they would be third in the conversation. Okay? Because you talk about history of the programs. Hell, Texas A&M has more 10-win seasons since 1975 than Texas Tech does their entire existence of a football program. 40 more years of football in that little span from 1975, whatever. Texas Tech started, I believe, in 1942. Could be wrong on that. 30 more years, I guess. And A&M still has more 10-win seasons, cutting off 30 years of their existence. A&M has more wins over the history. But regardless of all that, we are talking about the now. And the right now is the ultimate thing I think that puts Texas Tech into this conversation is, one, they learned how to build a good football team. They're putting NIL to use, and they have the money to compete with Texas A&M and Texas. Compete nationwide. They have the money to do it. But they just now got in the conversation. They're the new kid on the block. Listen, Texas is the big brother. Texas A&M is the little brother. And Texas Tech is a redheaded stepchild. Okay? But they are in the conversation now. They're not just a nobody. Okay? Did they produce one of the best football players in NFL history? At least he had one of the best runs so far. And honestly, I think he'll end up being at the top eventually. And Patrick Mahomes, yeah, they produced that. They had the Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree days. But overall, as a history of a program, they don't have a lot. Okay? I mean, sure, Red Raider fans will mostly agree. This past season was one of their best seasons ever, at least in our lifetimes, excluding the Michael Crabtree year. But Texas, they're here now. I will say they are here now, but can they continue to build on it? Okay? I mean, their stadium isn't close to the size of DKR or Kyle Field, so the atmosphere is not really the same. They're in West Texas, sort of. It's not really the same. But they have proved that they can belong, and I think they will, because of one humongous thing that's going to keep them in the conversation year in and year out is the conference they play in. All right, they play in the Big 12. If they can keep this outlook of, hey, we're going to build a damn good football team no matter what, and who in this conference is going to compete with us? Because at the moment, right now in time, I don't know if there's a team that can consistently, truly compete with the Texas Tech Red Raiders in the Big 12. They're going to outbid you, and frankly, they might outcoach you and outplay you. And that is on their side. I mean, I shouldn't be stupid at all to say that 10-2 should be their floor every year, because look at the schedule coming up. I fully expect them to go 12-0. Do they necessarily have the roster of a 12-0 team? I wouldn't necessarily agree on that, but they are in the Big 12, and with that schedule, I fully expect them to go 11-1, 12-0. And I'll be very shocked if they don't, to be honest with you. Okay? Barring injuries and all that. And what if they just become they're a Big 12? I said this earlier in another video. Are they going to be a Big 12 merchant, or are they going to take that step to be a true program? Okay? And I feel like A&M's kind of in the same boat. Not necessarily for the conference merchant, because you're not going to be a conference merchant in the SEC, but they've yet to take that big jump. They almost got it. If they would have beat Miami, I think they would have took that jump. But they're not there yet. They're almost there. They're just not there. Texas, their big jump is actually getting the job done in the end. But Texas Tech, can they take that jump like A&M needs to become one of these teams that we talk about year in and year out as a true, could be dynasty type team? Are there ever going to be another dynasty? We talked about that before in another video. But Texas Tech, they're almost there. New kid on the block, but they push their way in and they want to stay. And I have no doubts they will just because of the Big 12. Can they keep it rolling? What are you going to be, a Big 12 merchant, or are you going to win some playoff games and be a true national championship contender? All right. I look at Texas and Texas A&M, and right now I truly see teams that could compete for a national championship this coming year and the years to come. Texas Tech, I look at them right now, and I could see it happening, but I mainly just see a team that's going to beat up on Big 12 teams. How much does that hurt them not playing teams that are up to the caliber as them throughout the season? They don't truly get tested. They hardly trailed all year last year, and they played Oregon, and they got punched in the mouth, and they looked like they had no idea what to do. Okay. So that is why I rank these teams 1, 2, and 3: Texas, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech. I feel like Texas A&M is closer to Texas than they are to Texas Tech. If that makes any sense to you, and if you agree with me, cool. If you don't, I don't care. I feel like that is a true ranking for this. Now, listen, if we had this conversation, see what is 2026, we had this conversation 10 years ago, A&M would be number one, because Johnny Manziel changed the identity of Texas A&M on what they could be. The Johnny Manziel years were awesome for Texas A&M, and then they turned into Texas 8-4, and then the COVID year was awesome, and then downslope at the end of Jimbo. But they're back. Mike Elko has this program back on track, and I think he's going to unlock the potential of what they could be. All right, Steve Sarkisian has unlocked the potential for the most part of what Texas could be, and Joey McGuire has brought in kind of like a Johnny Manziel-esque change in Texas Tech by utilizing UIL and utilizing everything at his disposal. I think these three teams run Texas in that order. Okay, I think Texas A&M, meaning I feel like that last game of the year versus Texas is always going to mean something, even more than a rivalry. It's going to mean a lot. Something's going to be on the line. Last 2 years, somebody going to the SEC championship has been on the line. Year one of it, whoever won went. Year two, if A&M won, they went, but they didn't get it done. Okay, year three, I think it's going to be more of the same, depending on how teams play out. But I feel like it's always going to mean something, whether it's playoff, SEC champ. Something will be on the line every time they play, I feel like, for the foreseeable future. And now I want to just throw in a few teams I think that could jump into this conversation. Not necessarily that they will, but they could. And I'm not going to bring up SMU. I'm not going to bring up TCU. I'm not going to bring up Baylor. Although SMU, I think, does have an argument, considering they play in the ACC. But we'll get to them in a minute. I think the Houston Cougars. All right, look at what Willie Fritz is doing. He just brought in Keyshawn Henderson, a 5-star quarterback, the number one quarterback in his class. And if you've watched him play, you know that he actually is the hype. I think he could be very, very good. Willie Fritz is building something pretty nice down at Houston. And it may not be a sustainable type thing. It may be like the Baylor 3 to 4 year run, or the TCU just get a one great year, then a couple average, and one great. It could be that. It could. But could he sustain that success for more than that, more than 3 years? And it is very possible there. It's the state of Texas. If you can find athletes everywhere, all right? And he found one in Keyshawn Henderson, all right? He had a pretty good team last year with Connor Wigman. He's going to get another year to run it back. And if somebody's going to compete with Texas Tech in the Big 12, they are one of the teams that I truly look at to do that, truly compete with Texas Tech. I could see it. Will it happen? I don't know. All right, but I will predict that Houston is more or less in the conversation, at least for the Big 12 this coming year and for the next 3 to 4 years, as long as they hang on to these recruits they are bringing in. All right, and then next up, you got SMU. All right, Rhett Lashley, he's doing the right things there. I mean, year one of the ACC, they are in the playoff before Texas A&M. All right, the same year Texas was in it. Before Texas Tech. I mean, SMU's doing these things. They revitalized the program. The Pony Express is back. And you're in the ACC. I mean, I know Miami was a national championship, but there is not a top to bottom end true competition all across that. Clemson's taken a dump lately. SMU has a chance to really levitate themselves and possibly get into that Texas Tech type territory, be the new kids on the block. They took the jump and made the playoff, but we still didn't really look at them as the new kid on the block. Can they do it? Because they got slammed by Penn State. But can they consistently keep this up and put themselves in that conversation? There's potential for it. And then you look at Baylor and TCU. I mean, overall success rate over the last 15 years or so, they have had the top end, some of the best of it. I mean, TCU played in the national championship, and we're not even holding them in the top. I'm not even putting them in the top 4. Hell, probably not top 5. I don't know. I'll rank them here at the end here in a second. And then Baylor, they bring in DJ Lagway. The outlook for this program, at least this year, it looks pretty nice. I mean, you brought in DJ Lagway. One of the athletic trait-wise and what he could bring to the table is elite. But can he put it together here at Baylor? And if he does, Big 12, you know how it is. You could see something pretty great there at Baylor, at least for a year or two. And can they sustain the success if they do get it? That is $1 million question. All right, and the only thing that'll be answered is on Saturdays. Simple as that. But, and then you look at these other, like these smaller schools. I mean, Jeff Traylor, he's done something good at UTSA. Kind of hit a little road bump, but he, for the most part, he has done something really good at UTSA. He has built a G5 program to be, like, respectable. And then Texas State with G.J. Kinney, they're moving to the Pac-12. I know it's not the same Pac, but that is a more elite conference than what they were in, okay? And it's just, I still rank it a G5 company because it's G5 teams for the most part with Washington State and Oregon State. But what could they become over there? What if he does build one? What if they just get the ultimate, they get all their alumni that are fans of Texas to come back and support Texas State? What could that be? And it could be something, I mean, especially with the teams they're playing, you could have something that could build into something. All right. They have an explosive offense. Let's find some defense over there down San Marcos. But if I got to rank these teams, I'm going to rank the top 5. All right, I already did the top 3. It's Texas, your big brother. Texas A&M, your little brother. And Texas Tech, you're the redheaded stepchild. That's the 1, 2, and 3. Okay. At number 4, I'm going to put Houston. Right now, today, and moving forward in the future, I got Houston at number 4. Okay. I think Keyshawn Harrison is going to be a stud. I think Willie Fritz is doing the right things. I think they're going to win some football games. Houston at number 4. Number 5. I'm going to do 5 and 6 because, I'm just kidding. Yeah, SMU is number 5. Okay. I'll just go ahead and do the top 7. SMU is number 5. And then, like I said, they are just a step behind, I think. Now, did they levitate themselves over Houston the past few years? Yes, but I think going forward right now today, Houston is ahead of them. And SMU, though, they have the conference to truly compete. They have the conference where they can make the playoff. Right? They had the coach and Lashley. I think they could be in the doorstep of being like a Texas Tech type team. And that's why I put them ahead of Baylor and TCU. Rank Baylor, TCU however you want. But yet to see them sustain success. And I got tongue-tied there. But if they ever could, it could be dangerous. I mean, we see a good run out of them every few years or so, but we hadn't seen one from Baylor in a little. Maybe they're due. Maybe DJ Lagway turns into a Heisman contender, and we see it this year. But can they sustain it as they get it? That's the Texas college hierarchy of football. Listen, football means everything here. All right, Texas high school football is great. It's amazing. Everyone in the country knows about it. College football is great. Everyone knows football in the state of Texas. It's a true staple of our culture. And for right now, Texas is the big brother. They're the number 1 team in the state. Even coming off 9-3 years, they're the number 1 college football program in the state. A&M's right behind them. A&M's sniffing on their heels, man. They're a shoelace tackle away from jumping past. It's that simple. But the difference between those two is Texas beat them 2 years in a row. I think for the most part, all things are equal. NIL, facilities. I think A&M probably has a better atmosphere. But so far, Texas has a better team. Because they've won on that Friday, or I guess it was Friday night last year. But they have won that game on the meaningful day. Because it doesn't matter what the hell you do in the offseason. It doesn't matter what you do throughout the season. It matters who wins that game in terms of who's better. And so far, Texas has a jump on them. All right? When everything else is equal, who wins that game? And I know A&M went to the playoff, but they didn't do nothing with it, and they lost to Texas. That game means something. So I got Texas 1, A&M 2, Texas Tech 3 as a redheaded stepchild. Thank you for tuning into the Nuke Zone. Signing out.